do quick vocab like this, debate 2, you are excused. You don't have to turn these in because you already did them. Abby, I would say you're the only one who has like special circumstances. Basically, just whatever ones you didn't do at Eastmont. Like if it doesn't look familiar, then jump in with the rest of us, but I just don't know. So debate 2, take advantage of the extra tournament prep time. Really and truly. Okay, so I'm standing back here because I'm going to make sure that everybody's on track. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first official vocab we've done like this. So let me just show you the process just for those of you who have never had my class. So click this link right here. Okay, everybody click that link right under the picture. And it's going to take you to this vocab chart. And the first thing you have to do, otherwise you can't turn this in. So see where my mouse is wiggling? Come up to File, and then make a copy. And then entire presentation. And do say entire presentation, just because in the future sometimes there's more than one like slide and stuff. So File, make a copy, entire presentation. If you don't do that, you won't be able to turn this in. And then I will also start by saying, oh, sorry, you just press the yellow button as soon as it comes up. This is a tiny mini assessment. It's actually the reason we don't have normal tests in debate. The reason being that this is a little miniature test. Instead of having one big one at the end, we just kind of have little miniature ones all throughout the time. So this is a very, very basic vocab word for all of you. Every single one of you will end up using this at the tournament. Ignore your neighbors and focus fully for me. So the word is contention. So everybody say that for me. Contention. Contention. So in debate, contention means your main points or arguments. I'm going to say that again. Wrap your brain around that. Contentions are your main points or your main arguments. So that's the debate word for them. Judges will use the word contention. They'll expect that you use the word contention. Everybody in the debate world knows that word, so you have to know it. Do you have it with you? Yeah. So you can also look at the synonyms. You can think about contentions as your arguments or assertions. And if you look in the non-examples box, I changed it to the extra examples box. It's basically like a body paragraph. Jocelyn and Manny, try and focus. Like if you were writing an ELA essay, contention is the same thing as a body paragraph. So there's not a hard and fast rule. Usually there's 3 contentions in a speech, but like policy will usually have more. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less, just depending on what you need. But think of a contention as a paragraph long argument. So look at the picture. The picture is a screenshot I took of somebody's speech from a former debater. And you can see that they have little pieces of their speech labeled as different things, but you can see in the picture that there's a section of their speech that they labeled contention 1. And saying something like contention 1 helps a judge. It helps them realize like where you are in your speech. So the examples box is really important. If you want to actually be super successful in debate and, destroy your opponents and all that fun stuff, then you should be thinking about your contentions, including these things. So look at the examples box with me. So the first thing, you should have an AGD at the beginning of every contention, like a miniature attention-grabbing device. Because look at the second sentence. A good debater is not just going to have an AGD or a hook right at the beginning of their speech. They're going to keep hooking the judge over and over and over. Policy will probably do that the least out of everybody, but I recommend that for all the other groups that you really think about that. That don't just have an AGD at the beginning, all throughout. Okay, let's go back to the examples box. So we hooked their attention, we grabbed their attention. Then you present what the actual argument is. Like, now that I've got your attention, here's what I'm arguing. Then give a piece of research, sometimes 2. It depends on what you think you need. So I've got my argument, I have the research to back it up. Then you're going to translate that research. You're going to dumb it down for the judge because everybody, just because you say something once does not mean that the judge actually understood it. So translating or dumbing down the research really helps the judge. The repetition helps, and just like simplifying it for them also helps. So then you need to elaborate. If you don't make a connection between the research and the argument, you're making the judge do too much of the work. So make the connection. You might say something like, so the reason that helps me prove my argument is because. When you make that connection really strong for the judge, really awesome. And then the next thing, like, be thinking about easy to understand, but also thought-provoking arguments. We don't want a bunch of no-duh kind of arguments. We want stuff that maybe the judge hasn't heard before. We want to make them think more deeply. We want to treat them like they're smart. We want to make them be able to understand. We want them to be user-friendly. So all of those are things you should think about. And then, you've heard me say it before, and you're going to hear me say it many times in the future, but the last bullet point in examples, if you can be the kind of debater who sounds like you have conviction, like you are passionate about what you're saying, that you actually are enthusiastic, that will be the kicker. All of the other stuff in the examples box, plus enthusiasm and acting like you care, that's how you're going to win. If you have really awesome research and a really good argument, but you don't sound like it matters, then why should the judge vote for you, right? Think of yourself as a salesperson. You're selling your idea, and you are convincing them to buy that idea. You put it all out there, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that is for me. I'm going with that idea. So the first sentence, and then we're going to be done. The first sentence says go for depth, not breadth. And that's a pretty common idiom, but what that means is rather than having a bunch of little arguments, instead, it's usually better to have a few very high quality arguments. So we don't want a bunch of little stuff. We want a few things that we did really, really, really well. Okay? So then here's where the miniature assessment comes in. If you look on the Canvas assignment, this is worth 2 assessment points. You're going to give me your own example in the You Try box. So lots of you have had my class before. Remember, it will not let you type this if you didn't do File, Make a Copy. You could make up an example. You could just straight up make it up on the spot. You could think of your topic. You could think of a different debatable argument and think what would be a main point that you might use to argue that idea. So I'm going to give you like 30 seconds to think about your example first, and then we'll all have a couple people share with us, okay? So everybody's giving me your example in the You Try box. Doesn't even have to be a complete sentence, just needs to be an example. Okay, and since this is our first official vocab like this, I know that getting people to share their answers, sometimes people get freaked out by that, so let me get the right app here. I'm just going to straight up bribe you with a coin! Not even just a ticket, but whoever will share their example, and really it's because other people might be stuck and don't know what to say. Who would be willing? And I will give you a coin. I'll get to you in a second. Okay, Ruby.
I'm not sure if this works, but I think it might.
Let's see. And if you were wrong, oh well, you get a coin anyways.
Why would you not want to do that? It's giving everyone access to the same.
Perfect. So Ruby is LD, and she was thinking about the LD topic, and then she thought, what's a main argument or contention that I could make about that topic? Boom. She just got 2 assessment points and a coin. Henry, tell me yours.
Single-payer net reduces bureaucracy.
Perfect. Same idea. So that's the LD topic. That's one of his real contentions in his actual speech. And that was a perfect example. Thank you so much. That's enough. Everybody could have just straight up stolen one of theirs. But does anybody else want to go for a coin? If not, we had at least a couple that you could steal. Going once. Going twice. Sold. Okay. Let me go stop the recording. You should turn in your vocab chart. Don't forget to put an example in the You Try box. Heads up, if you give me an example that's already on the chart, I'll give you 0 points, but I'll let you redo it, okay? If you get the answer wrong, I'll make a comment, and also you can just redo it. If you forget to do the You Try box at all, I'll mark it as 0 and missing, but then, again, you'll see it pop up, and then you can just redo it, okay? So, let me stop this, and